challenges. I want to play characters that I don't know if I can do. I need to feel that kind of walking on a tightrope. I find that really exciting, and I think that it's the only way that I can keep interested, and therefore I hope an audience can keep interested in the films that I do.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our first episode of the Podclass. My name is Keith Brooks. Here with me, looking like a Civil War general is or journal come to life, whatever is
or urinal
a Civil
War urinal.
Yeah.
That can't be good.
It's at all.
That can't smell good.
Talk about a burning down south. This is Mr. Rob Pralgo. How are you doing, Rob?
Doing all right, Keith. This is fun. Long time in the making.
Yeah, I can tell that you haven't been working just because of that beard.
My audition barometer is long and gray.
So let me just sort of explain what we're going to be doing here today. Like I said, my name's Keith Brooks, Rob Pralgo. We are both actors within the acting business. There's not much of a business right now because of strikes, but pay people what they need to be paid. That's the official stance on that. And
Here.
But we're both actors. We both have directed things. We've both written things. I'm an editor. Rob makes me edit. One of us is a teacher. I'm not going to make a judgment on that one. And and what we want to do is we want to answer questions that other actors, maybe at different parts of their journey, have sort of posed, and we're going to answer those questions to the best of our ability and based on our personal experiences, talking about the craft, talking about the business, all sorts of stuff like that. If you have a question that you want posed to it, posed to the show, you can go to Rob Pralgo's acting class page on Facebook, where we will have a
post. There'll be a post where you can kind of just list the question.
Or post the question on one of these YouTube channels that you see it on, wherever. Absolutely. Yeah. And we might get to it, or we might
text us or call us. There's no however you get the question to us is really
don't call me. That's fine.
Call
you. Yeah. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and dive right into it. You got some questions, pose them to us, tell them who they're from, all that stuff.
Yeah. So hey, folks. And this could be about anything. And look, we're not playing with big egos here. We're not going to know the answer to everything, and most of the stuff we're talking about is subjective. So if we don't know something, we'll bullshit around about it a little bit, as much to our best of our ability. But we'll also say, look, we'll post it to the world too, and we'll put it out there, and feel free to comment and engage with us. I think that'll be a lot of fun, and we all have a lot to learn from each other. The first question is from Pacha, and I think we met her. She's in the classes up in Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken.
The Hood School of Acting.
Hood School up in Cleveland, yes. Yep. Who we were introduced to through the great Kurt Yu. People probably know Kurt. He's amazing. Pacha says, question number one: if someone is represented in different cities, is being a local hire a requirement or expectation in all cities? That's her first question. Second question is, when is a good time to start learning a new technique? Let's handle question one first. If someone is represented in different cities, is being a local hire a requirement or expectation in all cities?
So let's break that down for a second. So, if you are new to acting, I'm sorry that you found us, but what does representation
Bump in the road, baby. Bump in the road.
What does being represented mean, and what does a local hire mean? So being represented means you have an agent. An agent's out there looking for work for you. Well, being represented could also mean a manager, but more often than not, it's going to mean an agent, right? And then being a local hire is generally that you live, was it 500 miles within the shooting location?
I think it's negotiable depending on the market. With like Atlanta, where we are, anything within 500 miles of Atlanta is local hire, and that was done back in the day because New Orleans is 498 miles from Atlanta, which made New Orleans a local hire. But continue on the description.
So
why that?
So the reason for local hire is twofold. One, in certain states, it helps them with their tax incentive. They have to hire so many local hires in order to qualify for the tax incentive. So normally it's a percentage. I think with Georgia, it's mostly crew percentage, but they encourage them to hire cast as well. But the second thing is, if you're a local hire, they don't have to provide you a hotel. They don't have to provide you travel. All of that sort of off the table.
Per diem's off the table.
Per diem's off the table. I think for me personally, I say that this is a person by person sort of relationship. It all depends on what your agent wants. If your agent says, "Hey, if you're going to work for us, you have to work as a local hire in here," and you're comfortable with that, that's fine. I am comfortable doing a local hire anywhere in Georgia. Outside of that, I have a shit ton of animals, so I would have to get somebody to take care of them. So that's money out of my pocket. I'm not up for that personally. What about you? Where do you fall on that?
Well, I think I think it says if someone is represented in different cities, it's going to be a case by case basis, and it's going to be an agent by agent basis. I mean, I know people who have agents in New York and L.A. and they're based here, or they're in L.A. and they have agents here and here. It depends on who you are, your relationship to your agent. I get it where you are in the craft, your value.
Yeah.
I mean, people like us, you and I mean, I don't know. It would depend on the agent and what value we bring to them. Is it worth them repping us and then us auditioning from here and then, risking that we'll have the time to get to LA or New York. But it's going to be an agent by agent, a case by case. It's also going to be who you are. That being said, it doesn't hurt to try to get agents in other markets. I mean, it only comes down to a negotiation and a conversation. I'm in Cleveland, or I'm in New York, or I'm in Alabama. Can I get represented in Texas or New Mexico or California or Georgia? And some agents will be amenable to it, and some agents won't. You don't need every agent. You just need one. You just need one person to go, you're worth risking, So it's, do your due diligence and do your headshot, cover letter, resumes, but be it snail mail or online, and test the waters and realize, how you're received now by these agents in different cities is fluid. Like everything, it's fluid. And though you may not get an abundance of people who want to rep you now in those cities because you're not local to those cities, or you can't work local hire, as you grow as an actor, as your work gets better, those opinions of you will change. You're not locked into your status, where you are right now. So don't let rejection or people not wanting to rep you because you're out of state. That's not an indictment of how you are as an actor. That's the industry right now, really. Yeah. So I wouldn't. Yes, try, but like everything, put it out there. See if you can get one. If there's a place you'd like to be repped, Texas, New Mexico, be it Salt Lake, in Utah. I mean, there's a lot. I know people working up there a lot. In Canada, New York. I mean, all these wonderful hubs. I mean, I know people who have reps in Asia. I mean, I'm like, what? It blows my mind.
But that's also the thing too. It's like, you said something earlier. Where are you in your process of it? Is this because you're trying to break into new territories? And if so, are you a member of something like the Hood School online, where you know all these people from all across the world and you can tap into, hey, I have a friend in Texas, so they'll let me sleep on their couch if I book something. Yeah. Let me go get an agent there. Or, have you been working for a while and now it's just about furthering that territory? If that's the case, then more than likely you're probably able to negotiate where you don't have to be a local hire. And even places that, look, I did a Netflix shoot last year back when I was still working. And it was like 20 minutes down the road from my house, but they're like, we'll give you a hotel if you want. And that's awesome, because I think a lot of productions are the higher up you get there, and not that I'm super high up or anything, but they're willing to go that extra mile to make sure that you're safe and that you're okay. Because even with all the modifications that have happened in our schedules, we still work long ass fucking hours. So juggling those two ideas. And then that being said too, also be wary, if you are getting an agent in Canada, you're going to have a passport. You're going to have a work visa to work there. You're going to, whether that's New Zealand, in Asia, anywhere, like most of these places will require you to have specific paperwork for you, not even to be a local hire, but just to work in that country. So thinking about those things too.
Yeah. And really, with us here, I remember talking with my agent years ago. They were like, just say you'll do it. And then if they want you, we can still negotiate. It's not, And then there are things, sometimes you'll slate and you'll say, I'll work as a modified local hire.
Yeah.
Where, throw me a bone, a little travel, maybe a little per diem, what can you get here? But again, you know what, we're always looking for the rules and these finite rules. It's everything is so fluid in this business.
Absolutely.
You know, if they want you, you have power and you can negotiate. If they don't want you, then that's
Less.
then the power is in their court. So it's a case by case basis too.
Yeah.
So
and it all depends on the tier of the production and the tier of where you are in your career. Do you have any name going behind you? You know what I mean? Or were they just so wowed with you that they're willing to make those turns? And all of that goes into, I think, what will lead us into the next question. What is your preparation? What have you been doing? What is your craft level? Do you have that innate charm that somebody like Fuzzball Pralgo over here has?
I need to shave. So she says, when is a good time to start learning a new technique? I find that an interesting question because, there are many teachers who teach the same technique. But if you go to a different teacher, and it sounds completely different coming from person to person. So it's not always the technique, but it's the voice. It's the interpretation. It's sometimes you just need to hear it differently. You need to see it explained differently. You need to work it differently. There's, in our journey here, what I think Philip Seymour Hoffman said, he goes, our job is to seek out the best teachers we can find. And, best is subjective like anything else. And sometimes you're going to find someone who's strong in the craft, but maybe you don't dig the personality, and that's hard to get through. Or sometimes you're going to find someone you love, but maybe the craft isn't strong, and you feel bad, and you're finding that one place, where, you feel like you are getting something of value, that subjectively makes you a better actor, whether that's, whether it's getting you off book fast or giving your character purpose or identifying your obstacle or making you more directable, whatever that is.
Absolutely.
I would say like a litmus test for a good class is simply this. You're the consumer. You're handing the teacher money. What are you getting in return? If you're not getting anything besides some ethereal bullshit and the teacher pissing and moaning about blah, 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 and, and negativity and discouragement, go, leave. Quickly, get the fuck out of there.
But does that ethereal bullshit make you feel better about the craft? Like, that's the thing to me. It's to see your Philip Seymour Hoffman, rest in peace, quote, and to raise it one, Ian McKellen said that we each play our own Hamlet, meaning that we're all bringing to whatever characters we play our own personality, our own voice, our own view of the world. And the same thing is true for teachers. They say that the reason Christianity has so many denominations is because everybody preached the gospel a different way. And that same idea, you can find 15 Meisner teachers within a rock throwing distance, but they're all doing it wrong, according to Meisner. but they're all going to have their own approach.
You say differently, wrong. Flat out wrong. That's right.
But they're all going to have their different approach to it. You know what I mean? So that maybe, the same way that one person's Hamlet will highlight one aspect, this person's Meisner highlights one part of the approach. And that being said, there are thousands of acting approaches out in the world. So I don't think it's ever too soon to start, but I would advise you, if you're taking multiple classes at the same time, to quote Cake, or to quote The Offspring, rather, you got to keep them separated. Like, you got to know, all right, this approach is for this class, this approach is for that class, and only in the actual work later do you try to blend them. But to remember the rule sets that each provide. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, I guess just to get, just as literal as I can, when's a good time to start learning a new technique? When you feel like where you're at, you've completely exhausted all the resources of the current place. You've gotten everything you're going to get. You've hit a wall. You're not enjoying that technique or that school of thought or that teacher anymore, and it's time to move on. It's like a relationship. You kind of know when it's kind of becoming apathetic, and and you're just kind of losing its luster. So move on. There's so many different, wonderful, subjectively good and bad. And realize this: look, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Absolutely. For every teacher that's recommended to you, that's great, you're going to go, I got nothing from it. And for everyone you thought was great, they're going to think, I got nothing from it. There are people who've won the Academy Awards, strictly Strasberg. Stanislavski, Meisner, Mamet, Chubbuck, Adler, Hagen. So you got to find what works best for you. No one can tell you what the best acting tool is. You have to discover for yourself what the best acting tool is. So if you see yourself doing good work and you're in a good place, because I think that's all we want right now. We want to, I always say, like, every good teacher's goal is the same thing, to get you there. I don't want to define success for you, but let's say there is a place where we're doing our best work consistently, right? I think that's a good place. And if you're doing really good work consistently, you're in a good place. It's like an athlete, man. You don't want to fuck with anything, but we're always learning. Look, as much as, look, I teach a class, I'm an actor, but I am and always will be a student. You never stop learning. You never graduate from acting. Yeah. Somebody can give you a nice diploma, or you can get your master's at a good place. Like my friend here did, one of the highest levels of education in this craft. And you go to Barbizon and get a 6-week certificate. It says, I'm now a model / actor. Stick it on your fridge, but realize no matter where you came from, there's a lot more to learn. So
absolutely. And if you're going to listen to somebody about advice about athletics and relationships, Fidel castrated over here, it's definitely the person to go to. I think you bring up a good point about, like, there's some actors that just stick with, hey, I learned this technique, I like it, I'm sticking with it. Are you that type of person? Are you that type of person that the whole reason to learn technique is you're looking for the one that makes the most sense to you, or are you trying to sample a lot of stuff? There are some people that every morning have, bacon and eggs because they found the thing that works for them. They don't need to experiment any further. I like to experiment. That's why I'm single.
Though if you're going to settle on a breakfast, bacon and eggs is a pretty good place to land. If you had to pick one,
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I like over easy. So good. Gotta have like some toast with. Now I'm just fucking hungry.
I would miss pancakes though a little bit.
Pancakes are delicious. I don't have pancakes as much as I want, but yeah, like to me, are you the type of person that wants to learn more techniques? Because that is not a requirement. And if you are, the moment you get the inkling to go learn something else, in my mind, that's when you go for it.
Listen, it's not a requirement to learn any technique. I watched a documentary once called Showing Up. And it's all these well-known, recognizable actors we've all seen, just about their journey and early on in their career, just auditioning. And one guy was just like, you know what? Bottom line, all you got to do is show up, tape the audition, and your hat is in the ring. Yeah. And like a blind squirrel, can you find a nut? Sure. Can you scratch off something and win the lottery? Sure.
Yeah.
But the truth is, can you win the lottery? Yes. Are you going to win the lottery? Probably not. So what is your options? You start the craft. Yeah, and whatever discipline of the craft you're going for, I'd say, fuck yeah, dive in head first and work the shit out of it and get everything out of it that you can. And then, you'll know. It's like being you get antsy. You just feel like you need something else. And your body's telling you need something else. Go get something else for a little while. You're not stuck. It's not it's not a scarlet letter. You're not stuck where you go. You can get out of anything.
And it's such, acting is such an ethereal thing that until you're actually on set, it becomes practical then. That's when it becomes a practical application, right? Until then, it's just theorizing. And it can be anything that works. It doesn't have to be, Suzuki method or Strasberg or Vakhtangov or anything like that. I saw this awesome story. Jeff Bridges was on that roundtable we were talking about, and he was saying that his brother Bo was working with Marlon Brando, and Brando didn't have his lines memorized, so he wrote them across Bo's head. And so, I've
heard the story. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but that's what worked for him. So you know what I mean? Like, there you go. That's what he needed in order to make the scene work. So whatever.
It was cracks when people go, if you're using a teleprompter or you have your cue cards. I said Brando and The Godfather had things taped up fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And he won the bet. Look, I don't care how you get there, as long as you know how you get there. Because if you know how you get there, you can get back there.
Yeah.
It's an illusion. We're just being, look, it's a 16:9 fucking frame. If the lines are here and you can't see them, you don't know.
That's
never works for you, man.
I don't think I'm supposed to tell this story, but once I walked in on Pralgo doing an audition, and he had boards of lines posted everywhere, like he was trying to solve a fucking murder. It was just like threads and stuff. And I
was trying to solve a murder.
It was just his lines, where his eye lines were. Yeah. So that's what I got for that, Pacha.
It was an exceptionally long audition with a very short turnaround.
It was 4 lines.
But I got the audition 3 seconds ago. It was a lot of pressure. quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do what you got to do. You try things, right? You experiment.
Yeah.
You do what you got to do. You do what you got to do. I'm not begrudging anybody here. It's you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Should we move on? That was fun.
Yep. Let's move on.
Angela Sierra says, when self-submitting on Actors Access, is it advisable to submit for multiple roles you find yourself fit for in one project, perhaps with different headshots, or should you only submit for one role in that project? Also, so the second question, for those who do not have any acting reels or clips, should we do a monologue or find a scene with a partner to record and have on our Actors Access site? I've heard to stay away from monologues as acting clips, but I've heard to do a monologue as well. So let's address Actors Access or the self-submitting. I'll be brutally honest. From day one, I was with my agent at People Store. I don't do a whole lot of self-submitting. My father, who's an actor in town, though he's repped, is also doing some self-submitting. And I've spent a little time on the site, obviously. This is what I have to feel about that. Look, if you're going fishing and you got a lot of bait, drop a few lines in the water. I mean, it doesn't make sense. If you're self-submitting and you can put yourself in for a number of different roles, you don't know how people are going to see you. You don't know how other people judge us completely differently than we judge ourselves. Let them subjectively decide which role you might be more right for. Drop your lines in the water. Send different headshots if you can. And again, if they're open to allowing you to submit for more, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Auditions are currency. It's casting directors. Casting directors will do these seminars, these workshops, where you pay to get in front of them. And I've heard people say, why should I bust my ass? It's an audition. I'm not getting paid. Well, it's still value. There's currency to the audition in the sense that for these minute or two, whatever it is that you do in the audition, for free, you're getting the full undivided attention for free of the casting director. That's why you do your best work and you take as many shots as you can doing your best work. Because all a booking is, whether you're talking about booking the room or booking the job, booking the room being you do great work and they're like, well, there's no part here for you, but next time they want to see you again. All a booking is the occasional residual effect from constant strong work. That's it. You keep planting seeds. You keep earning their trust. So the more opportunities you get, the more seeds you're planting. The more opportunities you get. We're like professional shit slingers. You throw enough shit against the wall, something's going to stick. Yeah. But your shit better be good. So the more opportunities you get to show them what you got. But you better be an A student every time. So yes, submit for as many as you can. Submit for as many as you're willing to put good work in and do. That's my opinion.
A casting director once told me that I was one of their solid picks. And what she meant by that was...
And you've actually thrown up in front of those casting directors.
I've thrown up literally after chemotherapy, so that was rough. But she told me that, the idea of, at the end of the day, a director is going to want to see 6 or 7 auditions. I might give them 4 wild cards and 2 that I know are going to be good no matter what, because the work is always there. And so she complimented me by saying I was one of those 2 that's in there. That's the solid work. And that comes from, I take their audition seriously. Always. Whatever they're giving me, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try to get the exact, amount of turnaround time. I'm not going to put my fucking lines on cards, though. If that works for you, do whatever. And so I'm going to take it seriously. That being said,
do what you got to do.
Yeah. That being said, like Rob, it's been a while since I've done a self-submit, just because when you're signed with an agency, when you're represented, they tend to take care of all that for you. They find the auditions, they bring them to you. Here we go. And then if I'm not getting a booking from an agency, it's normally somebody else is contacting me from the production team, that sort of thing. That being said, even though it's been a while since I've self-submitted, I know Actors Access has some sort of payment per audition thing.
Well, I think they have a yearly fee for $69 for the year. It's unlimited. And look, if you do more than 3 or 4 auditions, it pays for itself, because I went through the process with someone, and one audition with uploading headshots and demo reels, it's like $12 up to $15. I'm like, pay the $69 goddamn dollars. You're going to audition more than
Absolutely.
So, yeah. And that's not, in the great scheme of things, 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72. It's about $5.50 a month.
Yeah.
Write it off, pay it off. Yeah.
So if you have the yearly subscription, do it. If you're for some reason, and I'm not going to judge your financial situation. If you're there and you have to pay per audition, do the one. That's fine. Show them something good. And if there's and pick the one that you want, the character that you feel that you're most connected to, send them that audition. If they want you for something else, if they like you, they like what they see, and they're a smart director or a smart casting director, they'll say, hey, let's see you for something else. And then that conversation will go further. But if you have the money to spend the $69 on it, yeah, fucking take the chance. Go for it. Submit as many as you want, because what happens at the end of the day is you're spending more time with more scripts, learning more characters, stepping outside of yourself more, and that's just going to improve your skill sets. As long as you're being honest and critical of what you're doing, more time you spend riding a bicycle, the better at it you're going to be. And the same thing happens with acting.
That'd be a good gift to give away. Like if this got big, if this little video or this little podcast made enough money where once a month we can give away a year-long subscription to Actors Access for an actor who just didn't have the money to do that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I need to get better residuals, but yes, that's a great idea.
That's why June 30th, strike two, I believe, will fall. Right? Yeah. So get into that. Her next question was, and for those who don't have any acting reels or clips, should we do a monologue or find a scene with a partner to record and have on our Actors Access site? I've heard to stay away from monologues. I've also heard to do monologues as well. If I may, you're not born with a resume. You're not born with a demo reel. You have what you have. Should you look, if you have a monologue and your work is good and nobody's seeing it, look, if a fucking tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, did it make a sound? I just want them to see good work. Yes, there's a lot of people who are going to tell you the rules of acting, the rules of the craft. And I'm here to tell you, there are no goddamn rules. You do what you have to do to be seen. There are people who will tell you, don't do monologues. And they tell you that because somebody told them don't do monologues. And somebody told them, bullshit. If what you have right now is nothing, but you have a couple of good monologues, yes, record a couple of good monologues. You know what? You don't have to put the whole monologue on there. Take 15 seconds from one. It's like a demo reel. A demo reel is pieces of your work, right? So you don't have to put, and again, and realize this too, demo reels are not, there's not a rule on how long a demo reel is. If you've got a 30-second monologue, and it's really, make sure the work that you show people is good, okay? Again, when you do a self-tape, you tape a monologue, you're not trying to win an Academy Award for directing, for cinematography, for lighting, for editing. It's the work. It's your acting work, right? I don't care if your demo reel is, hi, my name is so-and-so, boom, fade up, 20 seconds of a really good scene, of a good monologue, fade out, here's my content. If that's what you have, that's what you have. And you let people see that. If that's good work, if nobody sees it, it's not going to benefit you. But it could benefit you because somebody could see that and go, I don't give a fuck, it's a monologue. That's she or he is exactly what we're looking for right now. So Keith helped me do my dad's demo reel. And I say that like I had anything to do with it. Keith cut my dad's demo reel. I like to say I helped Keith just by sitting there as, and supporting him like a cheerleader. Mm-hmm. My dad's demo reel, my dad, he'll be 83 in December, studied acting at NYU in New York. Parents split. He moved to LA to pursue acting, and life gets in the way and things change. And he didn't really do much out there acting wise. He did a couple soap operas, did a couple of things back in the 80s, and then got distracted with music and martial arts, and again, got married. Life gets in the way. And he's a really good actor. And he at the age of 80 finds himself single or retired. Get your fucking ass to Atlanta, So it gets him here. You get him an agent. And what he has a clip from a little indie movie I made back 20 years ago. And the things that he did back in the 80s, we can't get him. He has he did a Chips, we can't find the scene. He did a House Calls, we can't find the scene. Some soap opera stuff, we can't, literally, we there's nothing. So he has that, but he's got a couple of really good freaking monologues. And we shot it from a couple of different angles, right? It's still in the place where I do self-tape. We shot it from a couple of different angles. Keith did a wonderful job of using his headshots, showing all the headshots, using music. This clip in this movie surrounded by two monologues. And that's what it is right now. And since then, Mr. Pralgo has booked 2 episodes of Single Drunk Female, a movie with Benicio del Toro, 2 hospital commercials, and 2 short films. And we're in the process of collecting that footage.
Yeah.
Now, those demo reels, the monologues didn't hurt him by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know if it benefited him, but it certainly didn't hurt him. And again, it's like your resume is always in a state of flux. You're always changing the skills you acquire, the teachers you study with, your credits, your agents that you may have moved on to. Same with the demo reel. You keep adding and subtracting. Sometimes it's addition by subtraction, sometimes addition by addition. You're balancing it out. Just let them see your good work.
Yeah.
And early on, you can combine commercials and TV and film. If you have a commercial and a movie, you put them together. There's no rules here. People say it's got to be 2 minutes. No, it doesn't. It just has to be good. I'd rather you show a 7-second demo that's good than the 30-second demo that the 7 seconds is good, but 23 seconds suck. You show what you got until you can add more to it. Do the monologue. That was Angela. Angela, you hear this? Do the monologues. Use them. And it was fun. It was fun shooting them from different angles. Just fuck. You have a couple of cut points. You're allowed to do that. So there's no right. There's no wrong. Look, half the people, no matter what you do, half the people are going to like it. Half the people aren't going to like it. Who gives a shit? Do your work. There is nothing.
And this is not going to be the only time this happens, but I disagree with Rob. I think he's awesome. An asshole. And here's why. No, I don't like to see monologues in demos, and here's why, or as reels. And I think the impetus for not liking monologues and why so many people are against it is because so many monologues are just done poorly, in the sense that people are only, how do I say this? They're telling me the story, but they're not having that as a conversation, right? So it's like a monologue, they think of it as I'm just addressing an audience, and it's that, but it's also you're having an internal dialogue that's happening outwardly. And so when you fail to do that, it fails to let the monologue connect. You can be a great singer a cappella, but can you stay in key with the band? And that's the difference between a monologue and a scene. You know what I mean?
Let me just go back and say it's got to be good. I said again. I said it's only good if the work is good. Yeah, to let them see good work. Again, yeah. So I think people do make a mistake. A lot of actors obviously work with, when it comes to a monologue, they think they're up there just talking. They're vomiting up dialogue. And, to me, a monologue is a moment out of a conversation where the audience really only hears one side of it, but they see somebody, they hear one person and they see the same person experience the other side of it. Absolutely. And it's got to be a moment. And if you're not doing that, then, but it comes down to anything. Is it good? Then it could matter. If it's not good, don't let them see it. Directors generally only use the good takes. And I don't think so. What's his name? No Country for Old Men. Javier Bardem. So when he was accepting it was a SAG award at the Oscar. He won so many. He said, "I want to thank the Coen brothers for using the good takes," because he goes, some that were not very good. So again, it's you only see what they see. You see what they see. So again, whatever it is, good. Yes, I agree. I agree with Keith in the extent that don't put bad work on there.
Yeah.
But you have what you have right now. And when you have something else, you can excise the monologue off your demo because it's in the state.
And I will say, too, that there are, there's this little boutique industry that sort of popped up for actors of people that will write and shoot demo reels for you of interacting with, 2 scenes. But the problem even with those is often when they're cutting them, they're just focusing on the client that paid for it the entire time, which makes sense to a certain degree. But the problem with that is it does not now look like a real movie. It looks like you've hired someone to just shoot you. Whereas part of the purpose of a demo reel is to put you in the context of a film, to say that you can work well within a story. It's not just about how good your performance is, but how well you're blending in with all of this, right? So I know that sounds very theoretical, but I think it's a true, sincere part of it. All that being said, that costs money. So if you don't have the money, stick with what you got. But if you have a friend who understands camera angles, get him to shoot you here. So you have the ability to cut it together to make something. And I personally, and I don't know how out of pocket this is, because again, it's been a while since I've been in these shoes. When I was first starting, years ago, not as long as Rob was, but it
I gotta
wasn't.
dye this beard.
Yeah, it wasn't essential to have a reel. Like, people understood you're gonna need some time before you get that right. So I think
It's easier to get paid than it is to get your demo footage sometimes.
exactly. So I didn't have a reel until after I'd already shot The Walking Dead and Stranger Things, right? So two big shows that I booked without having a reel. Then I was able to put that stuff on. So for me, at least, if you need to wait a while, wait a while. You know what I mean? As opposed to sending them something that looks like it was shot on a potato. Because as much as it should be about your talent, still the aesthetics matter. That's why I make sure I have this wonderful lighting situation.
I do tell some of the up and coming actors too. Look, because a lot of time I get asked is these auditions. Can I put these auditions on my demo reel? I wouldn't put auditions on your demo.
No.
I mean, some of them may even look great, but I wouldn't put auditions on your demo reel. However, you are going to find yourself, hopefully, in this long journey as an actor, where people go, "Can you audition for me?" And whatever reason you don't have time or you can't get around to doing it. If you do have some really good auditions and you don't have a demo reel yet, I recommend either get a Vimeo or a YouTube account and put them on there, privatize it, and have a place where if they say the character is this and this, and you've done an audition similar to that, you have some representative work that, though it's not for that person's project, you can say, hey, I can't do this right now, blah, blah, blah. But let me send you a link. I did this one thing recently. I did an audition for this. Let me know if that's it. Because you and I know, look, we knock wood, we're very lucky. We get to audition for a lot of things here and a lot of big things. And often we're not even getting real script from these projects. We're getting what's called dummy sides. And it said right up top, this is not from the script. It's to see a representation of your work. So these auditions can be a representation of your work. These auditions can act as your dummy sides. And if you can't, again, for these indie films or, for whatever it is, you can say, hey, let me send you a couple of these links, because I think this, you might see something in me that may work. And if that's cool, then maybe we can move forward from there. So that may be a way to use monologues and or auditions as a way to, connect with people. So
that's great. But I think the key thing there is keeping it privatized or via Facebook, via YouTube, unlisted. You don't want to ever publicize auditions unless it's one of those, hey, I booked the role, it's already been released, watch the side-by-side comparison of the audition.
Which is really cool. I know a lot of actors that do that. Kurt Yu does that. He does it very well. He said, this is what I did in the audition, and here's the way it was cut, which makes me mad. I didn't save a lot of my auditions from that. So it's a really good fucking guy. That guy is organized. My God. But that's our spiel there. That's our spiel there. Let me go to what do I want to do next? It's a couple here I like. Luke says, how do you give a great performance or performances? How do you give a great performance?
I thought that was the end of the question.
Audition?
How do you give a great performance?
How do you give a great performances for a job or an audition, regardless of how you feel on a certain day? So I guess he's saying if you feel like crap or you're mentally out of it, you're not feeling great, how do you get up for it? How do you still deliver? Let's first of all, great is subjective.
Yeah.
This is what I have to say. We're trying to tell the truth under imaginary circumstances. In life, we don't always feel great. We have a job, right? In life, you have a job, whether you feel like shit or not, you got to go do your job, right? So what can you do to put yourself in a mindset to do the job? That's why I go back to the craft, because it's not about how the actor feels. It's about, we're not judged by how we feel. We're judged by what we do, right? So that's what character is. Character is doing. A character is someone who wants something really bad and has to overcome great odds to achieve it. So despite how we feel, and that's just us imitating life. I would say if you're not up to it, use it as a man versus self obstacle. I feel like shit. Prioritize the objective in your character. In this scene, in these scenes, these are the things I have to fight for. What if I really felt this bad? What if I was this weak, or if I had a flu, or if I didn't, or if I was distracted by other things? Those are called inner obstacles, and it may turn out to be a gift because it may give you something else to focus on and to try to overcome as you're doing the work. Again, one man's trash is another man's treasure. But I go, I try not to prioritize how I feel. The camera doesn't see what you feel. The camera sees what you do. Mm-hmm. So if you're strong in your craft, whatever that is, and you have a clear, strong objective, and it's important to you, and the motivations are life or death, and you know what your obstacles are in your relationships, and you know that thing you're trying to achieve, I want you to just, regardless of how you feel, I overcome that. So make however you feel, use that as an obstacle and try to overcome it. That being said, music can help. Aspirin, take a couple ibuprofen, buddy. Hydrate. Get some more sleep. Eat healthier. Whatever you got to do to fucking pep up, because you got to get the job done. Because what you're not allowed to do is go, well, I know my work wasn't good today because I didn't feel good. You can't, because what'll happen there is you'll never get hired again. So the question is not what can you do, what will you do?
Yeah.
What will you do on the day when you feel like absolute unadulterated shit, or you're just not there? To me, that's where the craft comes in. That's where you're like, you put your focus on something else.
Yeah.
The truth in the scene, and that's and you ibuprofen it, baby. And if you depressed music, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I think I like the depressed doing music to lift yourself up, or finding whatever else to lift yourself up.
Yeah.
But to me, two different techniques come to mind. One, Practical Aesthetics, is by David Mamet and William H. Macy. But part of it is finding an actionable idea that you can convey and focusing on that idea. So instead of being worried about the dynamics of the character's emotional state or anything, I'm focusing on an action. I'm focusing on trying to accomplish something. And by doing that, it allows me to sort of dismiss everything else about my day, about how I'm feeling. I am, there's a job to be done. That sort of mentality, that can be the approach that you take to get out of whatever your headspace is and to put yourself in the conscious awareness of what this character is trying to accomplish. That's one.
Yeah, behavior is key. You're a cop, behave like a cop. A teacher, behave like a teacher. A parent, behave like every character has a responsibility. Yeah. Sometimes it's a job. Sometimes it's just a relationship's a responsibility.
Yeah.
And put your focus on the responsibility of your character between action and cut. What are you responsible for? And do the job regardless of how you feel. Because again, it might even be a benefit. We may see that you feel like shit, but if we see that you are it's life or death important that you take care of this child or this animal or do this job, and we're like, wow, he just really looks like he's fighting something, that's going to make you even more empathetic.
Absolutely.
And even more supportable as an audience member. So
yeah. And it's, I dealt with cancer for a while, and one of the things, they tell a lot of chemo patients to do is knit, or to do something like that while you're going through chemo. So you're focusing on that, so you don't think about that. And the more you get concentrated on this, you're distracted from this thing that's happening to your veins, right? And so, think about, again, with Practical Aesthetics, if I'm talking about an actionable thing that I'm trying to accomplish that I can see a result from, if I'm William Wallace in the movie Braveheart, but less anti-Semitic, part of my goal is to get these people into action. I'm trying to encourage them, right? So if I put all of my focus, if I put 100% of my concentration on encouraging these people, then 0% of my concentration can be on how shitty I feel. So that's the first idea. Second idea, one of Stanislavski's teachers and cohorts was a guy named Vakhtangov, Evgeny Vakhtangov. And he had this acting theory about bringing whatever you were dealing with into the character, allowing that to be a part of the character. Whatever the day is, deal with it. Michael Keaton tells the story about auditioning for Beetlejuice, and he was trying to get out of the audition that day because he had a cold. He could barely talk. And he's like, can we rearrange whatever? And they're like, no, it's got to be today. So he went in and did the audition and could barely talk. And it was all like this. And he got the part. So then he got the part and he's like, how do I make myself sound like that? Because I was sick that day. You know what I mean? And so then it becomes that whatever he was dealing with that day, that's what they loved about the character. So he made Beetlejuice always sound like he was a little stuffy, right? And then that's how that character is born. So that same idea, sometimes if I'm pissed off, cool. If I'm having a shitty day and I'm mad at the world, I'm putting into my character. My character's a little on edge. So instantly there's a drama there. And you don't know necessarily why he's on edge, but maybe you want to find out. You know what I mean? Or maybe it feeds into the scene and the dynamics, given whatever the scene is. So even if you're not having a great day, does not mean it has to not be a great performance because of that. I watch it
be that much more real. You know, I don't care how you get to the real. Use what you got. Even when people are nervous, nervous is an energy.
Yeah,
you use that nervous energy, and as long as you know what you're doing in the scene and what your action is, what you're trying to accomplish. We're nervous. We're trying to accomplish things. Use that as energy. That's fine. Put that focus on. Again, easier said than done. I get it.
Absolutely.
But again, I think we agree on the craft. What is your action in the scene? What are you fighting for? Put your focus there. Take it off yourself. If you're thinking about yourself, that's self. First of all, you're not doing your job as the actor, because your focus is outward. Your focus is trying to overcome things, be them inwardly or outwardly. Use what's inward to attack what's outward. So, but yeah, I mean, Luke, you're a young guy too. I've known Luke for a few years now, and I've seen him do theater. I mean, he's.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me.
I call he's my little Luke. And Luke Gronis. Again, early in the career, back to the craft, buddy. Yeah, the more comfortable you are in the craft, the stronger you are in the craft with the tools, the less those things but you'll be able to utilize.
But I also think it's to tackle some of those words he was talking about, the idea of a great performance. Let's get rid of that word great, because that's too much pressure on us. Yeah. We want a real performance. Yeah. We want
truth we want truth. How are you delivering truth when you feel like shit? Well, feeling like shit is truthful. Just use how you feel like shit. Yeah.
To be a real, objectively believable performance does not mean that it has to be fully controlled nor perfect.
You don't have to feel good to be truthful. Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
So there you go.
That's great. Let's jump down to Catherine Choi, who I also met in the Hood School. Cool. I believe she's up in Philadelphia. Not that she wants me to tell people where she lives. Sorry.
Her address is 215.
She's making cheesesteaks for everybody. Get over. When is it recommended to start submitting for speaking roles? Example, after you've taken lessons for a while, or as one is willing to give it a shot, etc. When is it recommended to start submitting for speaking roles? After you've taken lessons for a while, or as one is willing to give it a shot? Dive in.
Yeah.
Dive in. For the love of God, what are you waiting for? Look, odds are you're not getting it. Odds are you're not going to get any feedback. Odds are, it's just going to go into the ether, and half the time people aren't going to see it. That being said, you've done it. You've done the audition. So I want you to dive in. I want you to use. I know you've been studying a little while. I want you to use the tools that you've been studying at Hood and the other schools you've been at, and I want you to apply that to. I want you to use it under live fire, and I want you to submit Actors Access or Casting Networks Backstage, wherever you're getting auditions. And I want you to submit for the audition. I want you to get the script. I want you to work the script. I want you to make choices. I want you to shoot the script. I want you to submit it. I want you to get used to that process, because that alone is going to instill confidence in you. And ultimately, when you feel like you are ready to do it, that'll already be down to a science. Just knowing the workflow of it. And I want you to test these things out under live fire. I want you to see what it's like to put your stuff out into the world and have it judged, because ultimately that's what this is. It's going to be judged regardless. You're either the most right for the part, or you're someone else at this point. And so that's sort of how it goes. But I would put it out there. I give it a shot. Dive in the pool. See how you do. You won't die. Oh yeah, you're not going to ruin your career
at all.
Nothing we do is being remembered by any. But that's what cracks me when people go, "Oh, what if they remember me?" No one's going to remember you. They see so many freaking people. Literally,
only if you're good will they remember.
That's it. That's it. Everybody else is it just goes away. It just disappears. You would have to do something so bad, you would have to lose your shit and start cursing out the casting people and be absolute batshit crazy for them to remember.
I threw up in the middle of an audition, and I still go see that. Like, that lady still gives me parts.
And despite how he felt, he truthfully threw up. He puked with such honesty and such angst. And he didn't break the scene. It was like the South Park episode where they drank Epicac. They didn't stop the lines.
That's Family Guy.
Family Guy. What did I say?
South Park.
South Park. But I'd like to see those guys vomit too. That would be great.
I think look, yeah, I agree with Rob on this one. As soon as you are ready for it, and even before you're ready, like, look, this acting is not one of those things where you have to be fully trained, if that's even possible, to do it. Like, there's certain crafts where if you're going to be my surgeon, I want you to have finished school. I want you to know what you're doing. But if you're an actor in a sitcom, yeah, you can wing it a little bit. That's fine. And there's nothing that's going to give you more training than on-set work, right? And I think about Iman Vellani. I think about Rachel Ziegler, I think is her name. Their first auditions, she became a superhero and she got to work with fucking Steven Spielberg. Like, that's incredible.
Vellani and the actress who played Echo.
Yeah, Maya Lopez. Maya Lopez.
She didn't want to do it. She had one person call her, a friend. She said, "I'm not doing that." And two other people said, "You should really do this. Like, you're perfect for this." And then kaboom! You don't know. I mean, you can catch lightning in a bottle. You can be one of those people. Again, people do win the lottery.
Yeah.
But the odds are you're not. So the alternative is train. But look, what we realize as you get older, the only thing that happens when you wait is you age. That's it. But waiting, people say, I hear this all the time, I'm waiting till I get new headshots. No, send them your shitty headshots now. So they see this. And then when you get new headshots, they can see that you've invested in yourself, that you're not a shot in the pan. They can let them see your growth. Let them see you warts and all, and know that you're not afraid to be judged. Let them see this. And again, once you get the new headshots, they can see your resume with new teachers and new skills, because odds are they see you for the first time, boom, garbage. They see you for the second time, rings a bell, garbage. It's one of these things. It is a process. And the sooner you start the process, the sooner they're going to get to know who you are. They're going to get to see your persistence and your tenacity, and hopefully your passion for this, that you're not some flash in the pan who's just dipping their toe in the pool to see if they can score something, because that's part of the process. You've got to weed through all the gunk that's clogging up the pipelines. But persistence is key. Just start your persistence as soon as possible, Catherine. That goes for everybody. Don't wait for your new headshots. Don't wait for your demo reel. Don't wait, because again, you're just aging, and there are people who aren't waiting out there who are traversing you. They're getting by you. They're the ones kicking in the door.
I think a lot of times we wait and we we move the goalpost because we're afraid of what happens if we get rejected. Yeah. But if through failure we learn. I've learned more through shitty sets and through things I didn't book than through the things I did book, and through wonderful sets, right? Because the thing is that they're not all going to be wonderful sets. You are not going to book more auditions than you are ever going to book. And if you are being honestly critical of yourself, honestly editorializing the things you're doing, even if you tank an audition, you're going to learn more about the craft by doing that. Because I went to an undergrad that was about liberal arts, and I took Shakespeare classes, and it was interesting to me to sit in classes that were Shakespeare from an English perspective and a literary perspective, because that's understanding the piece, definitely, but in one capacity. I challenge you to now go learn it the other way. What happens when you can understand everything about the characters, but what happens when you put it in the action? What happens when you actually put it on its feet and make it now three-dimensional? Now you're understanding it in a very drastically different medium. And that same thing is true. We spend all of our time doing theory. We spend all of our time in classes. And yeah, that's grasping the concept of the craft, but only in one way. Now, putting it into action and learning through that's a completely different opportunity. You know what I mean? A completely different world. So.
Yeah, and again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Just don't wait. Dive in.
Yeah.
Dive in. Find a class. Dive in. It's just submit. Catherine, hop on. Make sure your Actors Access page is set up when you're casting the work. So you're backstage. And people get auditions a lot of different places. And just remember this too. One of my favorite quotes I ever heard was, because you always hear this: do I need an agent? I got to get an agent. I got to get an agent. And look, I'm not delusional, but the quote was, having an agent makes you an actor as much as standing in a garage makes you a car. So having an agent doesn't make you an actor, but the way the process does work from the top down is the bigger, higher end casting directors, go to the agents where actors have already been vetted to some extent, and it's filtered where it's not a big casting call, cattle call, not a big cattle call. So on Actors Access, do you get everything that the agents get? No, you don't get everything that the agents get. There's a separation to that. The Actors Access is part of the breakdown services. The breakdown services are the major projects that are submitted through the casting directors. There is some overlap, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you're not seeing everything for, on Actors Access. But what you are seeing are great opportunities for independent film, independent commercials, some union, some non-union. And just to go back what Keith said before, a union set doesn't guarantee a better experience than a non-union set, right? And a bigger budget doesn't guarantee a better experience than a micro budget. It is always, and always will be, the people you're dealing with. So realize that too. I know there are these badge of honors. People want to get SAG eligible. They want to get in the union. They want to get, they want to get their health insurance. They want a pension, residuals, all that. And that's great.
Yeah,
and that's great. And again, God bless the union. And because of them, Keith and I are very fortunate to do this. And we some really cool things have happened. We've had some really cool experiences, and we get to sit here and talk acting. And God knows, as crazy as this world is, we could be doing a lot worse shit right now than sitting here, knocking wood, doing what we do. So if you have an opportunity to do this, and this is what you want to do, or you think you want to do it, try it. Just because you might want to do it now and you may not want to do it later. But stick the toe in the water. Just what the hell.
I can't tell you how many amazing actors I've known that have tried this out a couple of times and then just decided, I don't think it's for me. I don't like the way it feels. And that's totally respectable. But you don't know until you try it. You know what I mean? And these are people who this was always their dream. And so I don't know. I think I agree with what Rob says. There are many different approaches to this. Look at us right now. I wore a nice Arnold shirt. I have a setup, and Rob came out of a trash can. So I think we all have different.
A lot of product. I got a lot of product in my hair.
You do, I have no hair.
This is being held down. I mean, if this explodes, it would be terrifying, man.
You look like if A24 was doing Oscar the Grouch in live action, you look like the Oscar the Grouch character. Like, that's what you look like.
How awesome would that be to play Oscar the Grouch the later years?
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be phenomenal.
A freaking blast. So I think 4 questions is good. We've dealt with 4 people. An hour's that's nice. And then we're gonna edit this. And we'll put it up. It'll be on Keith's page, which is what? What's your page again? It's
Bean Dip Productions on YouTube.
And mine's Actors Teaching Actors. They'll both be on there. They'll be the same. We're happy wherever you go to look at it. Put your comments on there, questions, like and subscribe to both our channels. We work together. And matter of fact, just so you know about this with the class, so we no joke there's no ego when it comes to how you do this. There's so many wonderful techniques and ways where I teach a class, and Keith has carte blanche to pop into my class uninvited. Well, he's obviously clearly invited. He has carte blanche to pop in without design, whenever he feels like it, interrupt my class and debate anything I'm working on at that point from different points of view. And to me, it's sort of the most entertaining part of the class, and sort of the most enlightening, because what people see is, we're working on something and we feel good about this. And then Pete comes up and completely upsets the apple cart by going, but why would you look at it this way if not looking at it this way? And what about through this lens and the endless other acting techniques? And it's fascinating. So, and selfishly, I get to go from immediately being the teacher to the student, which is again a very lucky place for me to be. And not everybody gets to go from boom, boom in that moment. So definitely come out if and when Keith teaches, jump into his classes, and feel free to pop into my Zoom classes or the in-person classes we do in Marietta.
Absolutely. And I think it's also, this thing about when we're talking about acting, we so often talk about we're trying to affect the other person, but equally important in that is being affected. It's understanding, hey, I might not have a full grasp of everything. I should always be open to learning more. And so with this, hopefully we'll have other actors on that are better than us and all that stuff. We'll see what Kurt's doing. He's probably too busy, but, and all that jazz. But we're also going to, at the end of every class, give you a homework assignment. Is that right?
That's right. And I totally forgot we were doing the homework.
Well, then I'm giving you a homework assignment this week.
Yes, that'd be great.
Next week, Rob will be doing one. Here's what I want you to do. It's simple, class. All right. So here's what you're going to be doing this week. I want you to find a book, any book. It could be a comic book. It could be a cookbook. It could be whatever. All I want you to do is read it aloud. Read it out loud. Even if there's no one else or if there are tons of people in your house, I want you to hear how your voice is sounding. I want you to think about what the characters are trying to stress through, what the characters are trying to convey, and how you can do that, how you can accomplish those things. If I'm reading Miss Marvel, the comic book, which I think he just grabbed, and I am playing Kamala Khan, and my character is pleading for something. She's pleading for it. If I'm reading aloud, how do I make my voice sound like a plea? Just thinking about it in those simplistic terms.
And I pulled this out because I had borrowed this from Keith about 9 years ago, and I haven't read it yet. But I think I'm going to do Keith's homework this week, and I will read Miss Marvel out loud.
Yeah. So just reading out loud, getting more comfortable with your own voice, getting more comfortable with trying, experimenting with different things, different tones, different meanings, different intentions. Look, the tools that we use start off on the most simplistic level of our voice, our body, and our mind. But in order to take those to more heightened levels, we have to have an understanding of how those three things operate. So let's start with the thing that we don't use the most, because that would be our body or our mind, but the thing that we hear the most, the thing that we most put out there forwardly, and that is our voice. Experimenting with the dynamics of that, making ourselves better readers. The more we are literary, the more we are, able to process a script and a story, the better we will be at breaking down characters, all of that nonsense. I think for not being the one that was supposed to do homework, I pulled something out of my
head. That was great. And no shit, reading comprehension is so important. Yeah. And the stronger reader you are, look, that's what we do. We grab script and we read. Even if we don't have dialogue, we're still reading the action. We still have to understand the circumstances. And the better reader you are, the quicker you're going to understand these circumstances, and the quicker you're going to get to your best work. So look, this is not something that has to be done in public. You read out loud. I don't care whatever level you're at. And I can't speak for Keith, but as empathetic as he is, I think I can say, if you are someone out there that we know or you get to know us that is having issues with reading, talk to us. We will help you. We will work with you in your reading comprehension and your reading skills. It'll make all the difference in the world. It really
Absolutely.
Will. Your confidence, and you'll go from being I can't read this line, I sound terrible, to oh my God, I can speak the truth. So
plus, there's something so great about being literate of stories and being able to comprehend, where the more you read, the better you're going to be at it. But also the idea of, I could be halfway through a sentence and see where the sentence is going to turn just by the clues that were already given to me. Can I use my voice to manipulate where this is supposed to go, what I'm supposed to convey? And that comes with the more you do it. Look, as an actor, there's tons of ways that we, especially when there are strikes or something like that, where we're trying to make a living, whether it be teaching online Zoom classes where we scam people to teach them about verbs for 6 hours a week, or narrating audiobooks or podcasts or any of that bullshit. My reading literacy comes into play in every single one of those things. It gives me more control over that dynamic of my voice. I just can't advise it enough. So your homework assignment for this week, or however long until we do the next one of these, is to read something aloud. That's it. Simple. But it's those simple steps that lead us to being better actors, better artists, and better people. So
fantastic. All righty. Awesome.
Yep. So I think that's it. Go check out Rob Pralgo's acting class. Check out Actors Teaching Acting. Check out Beamed It Productions. On any of those, comment with questions that you might have. And since we're only doing 4 an episode, that takes us 6.5 hours. Who knows how long it'll be till we get to that.
And I just wanted to keep it concise and tight today. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it's all questions about all things in the industry are viable. If we don't have the answers, we still may bring it up to discuss, put it out there to the world. What are the answers right now? Everything's constantly changing in the business and the unions, with streaming and all these crazy things. So, as much as we know, there's more that we don't know. So
exactly,
so sometimes I read these questions. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a good question. let's find some answers to it. Good.
Yeah,
I'd like to know the answer to this as well. there's some questions put out here. I'm like, I want to think about it a little while longer before we start discussing it. And Keith and I will kind of go over those this week to make sure that, what we say is, makes sense and, not just babbling over here, but maybe we're babbling it.
Yeah, we're probably just going to babble. But that's it for this week. For this class. Class is dismissed. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Everything you do as an actor ends up taking you somewhere else. I think all of the emotions that you have to go through, whether it's like loving a girl or laughing outrageously at something hilarious, or everything I've ever done in a film, it requires this getting to some sort of emotional reality that is contrary to the actual setting that you're in.